You can't marry her, she's dying. The doctor shouted, his voice echoing through the quiet hospital corridor. But he just stood there, staring through the glass window into the room where she lay, frail, pale, but still smiling as if the world hadn't fallen apart. His voice broke as he whispered, I know. Ethan had never believed in love at first sight until he met Claire. She was a volunteer at the community center in Vancouver, painting murals with children who had nowhere else to go. She had paint on her fingers, laughter in her eyes, and a heart so big that even sadness looked small around her. Ethan was there to photograph the event for a local magazine, and the moment she smiled at him, something inside him shifted. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition, like meeting someone your soul already knew. They spent months together exploring the little joys of life, long walks by the sea, ice cream dates at sunset, talking about dreams that felt too big to say out loud. Claire wanted to open an art studio for underprivileged kids. Ethan promised he'd help her build it, even if it took years. Everything felt infinite, until the night she fainted at dinner. The diagnosis came like a storm, late-stage leukemia. The doctors said there wasn't much time left, maybe months if they were lucky. Ethan sat beside her hospital bed, his hands trembling as he tried to hold hers without breaking down. Claire smiled softly and said, Don't look at me like that. I'm still me. But he could see the fear behind her courage. For weeks, she refused treatment. I don't want to spend my last days counting pills or watching tubes, she said. I want to live, Ethan. Really live. And so he took her away, to the lake where they first said, I love you, to the art studio she dreamed of, where she painted one last mural of the sunrise. Every brushstroke carried her heartbeat, every color a goodbye she couldn't say aloud. One evening, as the golden light filled her hospital room, Ethan walked in holding a small ring. Her eyes widened in shock. Ethan, no, she whispered, shaking her head weakly. You can't. You deserve a future. He knelt beside her, tears glistening in his eyes. You are my future, he said softly. Even if it's just one more day. The doctors tried to stop it. You can't marry her, she's dying. One shouted, desperate, perhaps out of care, perhaps out of protocol. But Ethan only smiled sadly. I know, he said again, and that's exactly why I have to. They were married right there, in the hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and roses. A nurse held the bouquet, and Claire's trembling hand slipped into his. Her eyes shone with tears, but her smile was radiant. You made me feel alive again, she whispered as he placed the ring on her finger. For a brief, perfect moment, the machines, the illness, the fear, none of it mattered. There was only love, raw and real. Ethan kissed her forehead as she leaned into him, her breathing soft and slow. Promise me, she murmured, you'll finish the studio. Let the kids paint their dreams. He nodded, unable to speak. That night, she closed her eyes with his hand in hers and didn't wake up again. Months later, the art studio opened under her name, the Claire Hope Foundation for Children. The walls were covered with her paintings, and the first mural the kids painted was of a sunrise, just like hers. Ethan stood there, surrounded by laughter, by color, by life. Sometimes he still visits the hospital garden where they planted a small tree after her funeral. He sits quietly, watching the leaves dance in the wind, and whispers, We did it, Claire. You still live here. The world moves on, but some love stories never fade, they just change shape, living on in the kindness they inspire. In the end, Ethan didn't lose her. He carried her in every dream she started, every child who picked up a brush, and every sunrise that broke through the cold Canadian sky. Because true love doesn't end with goodbye, it begins where life itself ends, and something eternal begins.